Let's begin by offering our respects to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Okay, so what did we see in the previous class? We started with chapter number
8.
We started
9.
with chapter number 9. We started with
9.
chapter number
9.
9. Yes.
The most confidential knowledge.
Yes, exactly. The most confidential knowledge. So as we discussed, the Bhagavad Gita has confidential knowledge, more confidential knowledge, and most confidential knowledge. What is confidential knowledge?
The Bhagavad Gita itself.
No, Bhagavad Gita has all three: confidential, more confidential, and most confidential. So then we saw which chapters reveal which knowledge.
So, like we had seen that the topmost confidential knowledge, or better said, the more better chapters, or like the best chapters would be like chapters 9 and 10, because they are the ones in the middle, and the middle is like, I don't know how to explain it, but like the better ones out of all the chapters in the Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, it is the climax. No, we discussed how Krishna is revealing the climax in the middle. It's the middle of the middle section of the Bhagavad Gita. The middle 6 chapters deal with Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, they are more important. And 9 or 10 are in the middle of the middle section. So the cream of Vedic knowledge is in this section. And also, specifically in chapter 9, Krishna's emotions hit its peak in this chapter. And the only other chapter where this happens is in the last chapter, chapter number 18. In fact, there is a shloka which Krishna repeats in the last verse of chapter 9 is again repeated in chapter number 18. Man mana bhava mat bhakto. It's the only shloka which Krishna repeats. Slight variation is there, but basically it's the same. Okay, but what is that most confidential knowledge? What is more confidential knowledge? And what is confidential knowledge? That is my question.
Most confidential because it is coming directly, or the ecstasy of it is the ecstasy of Krishna coming from Krishna without Arjuna even asking him.
Yes, correct. But what is that knowledge?
It is about
knowledge of what? Knowledge of what?
Unalloyed devotional service.
Exactly, yes, exactly. So because here Krishna is talking about pure bhakti or ananya bhakti, unalloyed, pure devotional service, that is most confidential knowledge. Now, what is more confidential knowledge?
Bhakti, but with like, but you still have some interest, like some type of interest, or better said, something you want in return. But this one is the most, because it is pure unalloyed devotional service.
Yes, so more confidential knowledge is devotional service, and most confidential knowledge is pure devotional service. Perfect. So what is confidential knowledge? Which Krishna spoke in chapter 2 specifically. We saw this in the
That-
previous class.
Surrender unto Krishna, work for Krishna.
Surrendering unto Krishna, work for Krishna is not confidential knowledge. That is more or most confidential knowledge. But the beginning of spiritual knowledge is confidential knowledge, which he spoke in chapter 2 especially, and a little bit in chapter 3.
Karma yoga.
Not
Yoga
karma
is
yoga.
confidential.
No, before, what is the beginning of spiritual knowledge? The difference between the dash and the dash.
Devotion?
No,
Karma kand.
no.
Faith,
What was that? Sorry, Shri Hari Radha Mataji?
faith, having a faith.
No. The beginning of spiritual knowledge is, first of all, to know the difference between the dash and the dash. The body
The
and
soul
the...
and the body and the soul.
Yes, the body and the soul. Yes, the body and the soul. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that chapter 2 and 3. Sorry, here, where is our slide? Here. So confidential knowledge is to know the difference between the body and the soul. More confidential knowledge to devotional service, and most confidential knowledge is pure devotional service. Okay, so this here Krishna is going to discuss pure bhakti. Therefore, the title most confidential knowledge. In fact, the title of the chapter comes from the second verse of this chapter. Okay, what else did we see in the previous class? We saw that chapter 7 and 9 have various common themes. Whatever Krishna discussed in chapter 7, he discusses in chapter 9, but he goes into greater detail. Yes. Then we saw in verse 1, Krishna discussed what are the qualifications one requires to understand this most confidential knowledge. So what does he say? What is the only qualification he mentions?
Devotion,
Yet you are never envious of me.
Yes, he says in 9.1, he's telling Arjuna that I am giving you this knowledge because you are never envious of me. Now, as we discussed, if one is envious, then one cannot understand Krishna, one cannot understand the Bhagavad Gita, and one cannot understand pure devotional service. Now, question which we answered in the previous class, let's see if anybody remembers. Why does Krishna not reveal this knowledge to the non-envious? Does he have a vested interest? Is it because he is not interested? He doesn't care for the non-envious? Why is it that he does not reveal this knowledge to the people who are envious of him?
Because we have free will, choice.
they have no faith. They don't have devotion. They don't surrender.
Yes, they don't surrender, they don't have devotion, they are envious. Yes, but what's Krishna as a well-wisher? Krishna is a well-wisher of all living entities, right? Whether a person is envious or non-envious, whether a person is a devotee or a demon, Krishna is a well-wisher of all living entities. So why he is not giving this knowledge as a well-wisher to those who are envious of him?
Free will.
Free will, and they don't want to surrender.
Yeah, so then if somebody doesn't want to surrender, somebody has a free will and chooses not to surrender, But if Krishna is their well-wisher, then all the more reason for Krishna to give him the knowledge, right? How Krishna is doing good to the people who are envious of him by not giving them this knowledge. What is the connection between Krishna being their well-wisher and not giving the knowledge to those who are envious of him?
Well, Krishna wants them to come to him on their own. And even, oh man,
Krishna wants everyone to come to him on their own, right?
yes.
So we are talking about only those who are envious. How does Krishna, were you there for the previous class, Shivani?
I think I was.
Okay, okay. Okay, anybody else from the previous class can recall what we did? What is the characteristic of a person who is envious? When somebody is envious of another person and he hears glories of that person, then what happens to the person who's envious?
You feel jealous?
Yeah, he's feeling jealous, he's feeling envious. So he's going to burn even more, isn't it? And he's
Yes.
going to be even more offensive towards that person because he's burning in envy. Yes? So if somebody is envious of Krishna, and Krishna is going to reveal his glories to him. Now, Krishna is saying that I am the source of everything material and spiritual. Everything emanates from him. Everything rests on me as pearls are strung on the thread. So Krishna is revealing his glories. And if Krishna is going to reveal his glories to someone who is envious of him, will that take the person closer to Krishna, or it will take the person far away from Krishna?
Far away.
Yes, it will take him far away. He's going to be even more offensive to Krishna. And when he's going to be offensive to Krishna, then he's invoking more and more misery for himself because he's committing more and more offenses, right? So he's going to take a lot of reaction. So in order to avoid those envious people from becoming more offensive towards Krishna, that's why Krishna does not reveal this most confidential knowledge to those who are envious of him. It's not that Krishna is not interested in them. It's not that Krishna has some vested interest and he's like, oh, you are envious of me, so I don't care for you. No, that's not what Krishna's attitude is. Krishna is a well-wisher and he wishes well of those who are envious. Therefore, in order to avoid or to prevent them from becoming more offensive towards him and creating more misery for themselves, that's why Krishna does not reveal this knowledge to those who are envious of him. Okay. All right. Then we saw how Krishna mentions 7 characteristics. He says, Raja, with this knowledge is Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, Pavitram, Idam Uttamam, Pratyaksha Vagamam, Dharmyam, Susukham, and Avyayam. So we covered 5 out of 7 points in the previous class. So when we did Raja Vidya, what did we discuss? Why is this the king of all knowledge?
Because it cleanses the dirty hearts of the people. That is the potency of Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, so it cleanses the dirty hearts of the people. That is a potency, very nice. But that will come under which category of these 7 points?
Third.
Third, yes, third.
Idam
Correct.
Uttam.
Yes, Pavitram Idam Uttamam. Okay, so when we did Raja Vidya, what did we discuss? So we discussed how, after having received this knowledge, if one knows this thoroughly, then one can understand all other philosophies and one can defeat anybody else in their philosophy. Because here Krishna is revealing everything. No? He's talking about Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan realizations. He's talking about worshipping of the demigods. He's talking about the difference between the body and the soul. So if you know Bhagavad Gita thoroughly, then one can go and sit in any class, even a Bhagavatam class or a Chaitanya Charitamrita class or a class of any other faith or religion, and one can understand what's going on. One can understand what is being taught. One can understand what is happening. And I was telling how I was telling students of slot 1 how Srila Prabhupada, he would, when he would go on his morning walks or when he was on his flight travels, he would tell his disciples sometimes that you take the role of a gross materialist, or you take the role of a material scientist, and then let's have a debate. And then of course Prabhupada would be able to defeat the other person in argument in within a few minutes, just like that, very easily, very effortlessly. And then Prabhupada would switch roles. He says, okay, now I am going to be the scientist, or I will be the gross materialist, and you argue with me. And even then, Prabhupada would be able to defeat the other person in argument, although the other person is presenting Vaishnava philosophy. Okay, so then again, Prabhupada would switch roles and he would defeat his own argument, which he presented as a materialist or as a scientist. So when one knows this knowledge thoroughly, then one can become expert in understanding even the inside of any other philosophy. Even in the Chaitanya Leela, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took initiation, he was called as Nimai Pandit. Pandit because he was very scholarly and he was very expert in understanding he very expertly understood and presented also the Vaishnava philosophy. And Nimai is the name that his parents called him because he was born under a neem tree. So as Nimai Pandit, he was known to defeat anybody in argument. Philosophers would run away from him when they would see him coming from a distance. And also they would have this role play. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would tell them, okay, now you play this role, and then he would defeat him in the argument. Then again, they would switch roles. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would present the internals of their philosophy itself and make it appear as though their philosophy is superior to the Vaishnava philosophy. Okay, so just when they would think that, okay, so our philosophy is right, is superior, immediately again he would defeat his own argument, and then he would leave the person completely shocked, like what's going on. So like that, whenever they would see him from a distance, they would run away from him because no one could defeat him in argument. So that's why this is called as the king of all knowledge. If one thoroughly understands the Bhagavad Gita, one can understand any other philosophy, one can understand any other faith, and one can understand any other class that is going on. Then Raja Guhyam, it is the most confidential knowledge. Because we discussed that shloka, no? That Krishna can even give mukti very easily, but he does not give what very easily?
Seva, service.
Seva, yes, the opportunity to serve he will not give very easily. Why?
Because when he becomes a slave, becomes his own servitor.
Yes, because when we render pure devotional service, then Krishna becomes the servant of his devotee. So one of Krishna's names is Achyuta. He cannot be defeated, but even the undefeatable can be defeated by his pure devotee. So therefore, Krishna can even give mukti very easily, but he will not give the opportunity to render service to him very easily. So that's why this is the most confidential knowledge, that we can render pure devotional service is most confidential knowledge. Then Pavitram, as Mehak said, it has the potency to purify our hearts. It can uproot all our past karmic actions that we have done, and we can be forgiven for our past karmic activities. So that's why it is Pavitram. Idam Uttamam, it is the purest. It's not only Pavitram, it is Pavitram, Idam Uttamam, it is the purest. Then we did Pratyaksha Vagamam. When we did Pratyaksha Vagamam, what did we see?
One obtains pleasure in the chanting.
Yes. So what is we use the term? what you're saying is exactly right. And we use the term, we develop higher taste, higher taste. So when
Higher
we,
taste.
yeah, so now once we take to pure devotional service, then we no longer enjoy or we find pleasure in the lower pleasures, so-called pleasures of life, right? So we discuss how for an outsider, it appears that, oh, devotees are so boring. They don't like so many things, no? They don't like to party. They don't like to do so many other things. I don't know, discotheque or whatever it is. But devotee is actually experiencing even more pleasure than the others non-devotees are. But the other non-devotees do not understand this. They think that devotees are boring. But devotees are experiencing greater pleasure. So that's what Prabhupada explained as higher taste. Then when we did Dharmyam, it is a perfection of religion. It tells us what is the goal of this human life. What is the goal of human life?
The goal of human life is to go back Godhead, to go back and also to serve Krishna faithfully and to surrender.
Yes, exactly. To serve Krishna, basically. So yes, going back to Godhead is correct, but there is something higher than that, as Sri Hari Radha Mataji said, also to serve the Lord. Ultimately, we have to serve the Lord, whether we realize it or we don't realize it. We are eternally the servants of the Lord. So servant means to serve. See, Prabhupada, when he translated the word bhakti, he translated the word bhakti as devotional service. Why? Because bhakti means to serve. There cannot be love without service, and there cannot be service without love. If we love someone, then automatically that's love is expressed by serving. Just as how a mother serves the child because the mother loves the child, or the children serve their parents because the children love their parents. So if there is no love, then where is the question of service? We may render services to the boss when we are going to a job, but how much will we be willing to work for our boss if he is not going to pay us a salary at the end of the month? I don't think anybody would be willing to serve their boss if the salary is not going to be paid. Yes. So there it's not love. There the service is being rendered because a salary is being paid. But when we render service to our loved ones, to our parents, our children, or people whom we love, then we are not expecting a salary, right? That is out of love. So where there is love, there is service. Where there is service, there is love. Okay. So when we did Dharmyam, we also discussed the previous lifetime of one great personality. Who was that?
Narada Muni.
Narada Muni, yes. So Narada Muni in his previous lifetime was?
A Dasi Putra.
Yes, Dasi Putra. So he was the son of a maid servant. But at the age of 5, his father had already left previously, and his mother also passed away when he was just 5 years old. So for a 5-year-old to lose both parents can be a very delicate situation, and he can completely collapse mentally, right? But because Narada Muni had received the association of great sages, and he had served them, by the blessings of those great sages, he took care of himself. And he meditated and he realized the Paramatma. And after he saw the Paramatma, he hankered to see that form of the Paramatma again. But then he was told that he will not be able to see that form anymore, and that he should render pure devotional service, which he did. And then in the next lifetime, he became the son of Lord Brahma, and he was as Narada Muni, and as Narada Muni, he's the empowered incarnation. He's empowered to preach. Therefore, Narada Muni has stalwart disciples like Dhruv Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Vyasadev. So Narada Muni has the potency. He is empowered. He is given the Shakti to preach. So that's where, therefore, he's a Shaktavesha avatar. Okay, so today we will start by, because we didn't finish all aspects of verse 2, let's again hear this particular shloka. We need 2 volunteers to read one for the translation and one for the other text. So who
Can
would
I
like
read?
to read? Yes, Sri Hari Radha Mataji, would you like to read the translation or the other text?
What am I reading? The sloka or the translation?
No, we need one person to read only the translation and one person to read the other text. Any other text that we have coming up on the slides, which is not the translation.
Okay,
Shloka,
I'll
we
read
are going to hear the audio.
translation. I'll read, but can I read from your slide? Because I don't have my book open.
Yes, yes, from the slide you can read. Okay, and we need one volunteer for the other text. Who can read that?
If no one volunteers, can I read?
Okay, so you can read both then. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, before that, please repeat Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Okay, let's hear the shloka.
Translation.
राजविद्या राजगुह्यं पवित्रमिदमुत्तमम् प्रत्यक्षावगमं धर्म्यं सुसुखं कर्तुमव्ययम्.
Okay, now yes, translation.
Translation by All Glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Okay.
This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Okay, so now we have to discuss the sixth and the seventh aspects. Let's go to our slide. Okay, let's read this.
Things offered by the devotees, even in meditation, are accepted by the Lord and they help one achieve the desired result. Susukham, it can be executed joyfully without difficulty.
Okay, so Su Sukham. This is not only Sukham, this is Su Sukham. So this can be executed joyfully without any difficulty. So if one has a desire to execute pure devotional service, one can just execute it. Pure devotional service is not dependent on any other external situation. Now, this picture on your screen, we have discussed this past time before. Does anybody remember? This is a pure Brahman who has burnt his finger. Does it ring a bell?
Yeah, he used to meditate and then offer like he used to cook and then offer to Krishna. But before offering, he used to like check whether it's hot or very hot. So let it come to room temperature, and then so once he checked and it burnt his finger.
Yes, exactly. So all the service that he was doing, he was only doing it mentally. He was not physically doing it. It's not that he really went and bought the food stuff and then actually cooked them. It was all in his meditation, in his mind, right? He was imagining that he's doing this service. So see, and the fact that his finger actually got burned when he was trying to test the temperature of the prasad that before he offered it to the Lord, his finger actually got burned. So it means that the Lord accepted his offering immediately, isn't it? That's why his finger has got burned. So this shows how if one has a desire to render pure devotional service, nothing can come in the way. He had the desire to offer opulent meal to the Lord, but because he did not have the financial resources, desire was there. He mentally did it, and still the Lord has accepted it. So let's directly read from the pulpit by Prabhupada this past time.
In the city of um, Pashti, I don't know this word, Paristhana Puran, long ago there resides a Brahman who was poverty stricken but innocent and not dissatisfied. One day he heard a discourse in an assembly of Brahmins concerning how to worship the deity in the temple. In that meeting, he also heard that the deity may be worshipped within the mind. After this incident, the Brahman, having bathed in the Gandharv river, began mentally worshipping the deity. He would wash the temple within his mind, and then in his imagination he would bring water from all these scarred rivers in golden and silver water pots. He collected all kinds of valuable paraphernalia for worship, and he worshipped the deity very gorgeously, beginning from bathing the deity and ending with offering arti. Thus he felt great happiness. After many years he had passed in this way. One day within his mind he cooked nice sweet rice with ghee to worship the deity. He placed the sweet rice on a golden dish and offered it to Lord Krishna. But he felt that the sweet rice was very hot, and therefore he touched it with his fingers. He immediately felt that his fingers had been burned by the hot sweet rice, and thus he began to lament. While the Brahmin was in pain, Lord Vishnu in Vaikuntha began smiling, and the goddess of fortune inquired from the Lord why he was smiling. Lord Vishnu then ordered his associates to bring the Brahmin to Vaikuntha. Thus, the Brahmin attained the liberation of Sami- Samipya, the facility of living near the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5, 23, 24 purport. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you. So this is the story as narrated by Srila Prabhupada. Okay. So we don't offer very, very hot prasad also to the hot food to the bhoga to the Lord, because we ourselves cannot eat piping hot, right? So we have to remember that deity is not stone or metal or wood. In Chennai, there is a deity which has burnt marks around the mouth, and the pujaris they will tell you if you ask that once very hot pongal was offered to the Lord, and the Lord immediately accepted it and developed burnt marks around the mouth. Okay. So now we'll discuss the last aspect. Now, Avyayam, this devotional service is eternally existing. So in the Upadeshamrita, Srila Prabhupada mentions this. Let's read this text.
Devotional service is so pure and perfect that once having begun, one is forcefully dragged to ultimate success. Upadashmit text 3 purport. You started the process, no quitting. I am going to drag you to the goal. This is too hard. I want to quit. Devotional service is internally existent. Avavyam. Hare Krishna.
So Avyayam means it is eternal. So devotional service is eternally existing. As we have discussed before, when whatever we do in our spiritual life, our devotional services, that we carry on in the next life from where we left off in this lifetime. So it eternally exists. We can carry it even to the next life. So whatever we do in devotional service, nothing is lost. There is nothing to lose. We only stand to gain. And here from this quote in the Upadeshamrita, Srila Prabhupada, he explains, Upadeshamrita is a book written by Sri Rupa Goswami. And he explains that devotional service is so pure and perfect that once having begun, one is forcibly dragged to ultimate success. So once we begin our devotional service, then Krishna will make sure that he takes us to the finishing line. Even if we want to quit, he will not allow us to quit. So see the words, one is forcibly dragged. Now this may sound contradictory to another concept that we have learned, which we discussed also in the beginning of the class. Some of you said those words. What does it appear to contradict? Which other theory does this word, one is forcibly dragged to ultimate success? It contradicts the concept of free
Free
will. Yes, free will. Because when we say free will, we understand that Krishna does not interfere with the free will of every living entity. Yes, we have to desire it. That is up to us, whether we desire it or not. He does not force anything upon us. But here, one is forcibly dragged to ultimate success. So now these two statements appear to contradict each other. How are we going to reconcile?
Minute free will.
Yes, minute free will, but still minute free will. But here one is forcibly dragged to ultimate success.
The Lord. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Because the devotee, okay, he already showed his interest. His desire is to go back to Godhead, but he gets involved in some kind of mundane activities that he's not able to give his 100% what he's supposed to give. But Krishna knows that. He knows that. That's why he helps him, or he drags him to reach the ultimate goals.
Yes, so at one point he had the desire, right? At one point he desired it, therefore he started his devotional service. But sometimes one may begin devotional service even unknowingly. That also option is there. That's another probability. Okay, but anyway, let's say that one has started his devotional service, and then there comes a point where now he has no desire. So right now, maybe currently, he has lost the desire to render devotional service. Then why will Krishna forcibly drag him to ultimate success? Then what happens to the free will? Now his free will, his desire is, I don't want to do devotional service anymore.
When he has rendered the service towards Krishna, now Krishna has seen that he has done service. Now Krishna is holding him and is forcing him that he cannot fall down again, because Krishna is standing behind him and taking care of him, looking after him.
So then
Because
the free
Krishna
will,
is Krishna is Bhakta Vatsal. So okay, at some point of time, the devotee may lose interest or may lose his service to render service, but Krishna knows and he can revive so he knows that yes, okay, my devotee has lost interest or whatever, he has got more involved in Maya. He knows all that, but he also knows that yes, I have to bring, he will never, devotee can leave Lord, but Lord will never leave us.
okay, so that means once we take to devotional service, then we lose our free will.
He sent us
There
another
was never a
Bhakta
time
like you,
where we
Mataji.
don't have free will. And
Yeah,
there's
so because he's Bhakta Vatsala, all his bhaktas don't have free will then?
Because you give an example, like even in the fair, like you go in this Mela fair, what you call India fair, if the father is holding the child is holding the finger of the father, the child can lose father, but the father will encounter him, he'll find him anywhere. So हम लोग खो जाएंगे, but Krishna हमेशा like हमें ढूंढेगा. He'll not allow us to get wandered.
Yeah, so yeah, it's correct. Your statement is correct. All your statements, all of you, what you all have mentioned, all your statements are correct. But I'm asking, then what happens to the free will? Then do we lose the free will?
no,
Free will
free
का क्या
No,
हुआ?
no, no.
It's never lost. It
We
cannot
still
be
have
lost.
it.
So we always have the free will, whether we are a devotee or a non-devotee, whether we are engaged in devotional service or not engaged in devotional, free will is always there. So then how he is forcing us then हमारा free will का क्या हुआ फिर?
Free will is there, standing there with us, but our free will is now with Krishna. Like our Icha is combined with Krishna's Icha, and so that's how we go about.
No, but
Like
there
more
is a
faster
point. That's the
progress.
point. There is a point where a devotee says, okay, he was a devotee at some point of time. Now he has no desire to engage in devotional service anymore. Then
Mora Senapati come and give us a Krishna conscious. from India, they fly come all different Maharaj and Senior Brahmachari and Sanam Mataji came in our life, and then Bhakti Lata Beach, they will watering and in a branch, all again the flower and fruit come.
Yeah, so devotee association can change us. That is correct. So the concept everyone is saying correct only, but I just want to like what happens? Forcibly drag on one side, on the other side free will. So don't know what how to combine these two things. Okay, we will hear from Srila Prabhupada. Okay, let's see what Prabhupada says. Let's read this.
A devotee of the Lord automatically becomes uninterested in the enchantment of material existence because he is rasagraha, or one who has tasted the sweetness of the lotus feet of the Lord Krishna. There are certainly many instances where devotees of the Lord have fallen down due to the due to uncongenial association, just like the future workers who are always prone to degradation. But even though he falls down, a devotee is never to be considered the same as a fallen karmi. A karmi suffers the result of his own fruitive reactions, whereas a devotee is reformed by chastisement directed by the Lord himself. The suffering of an orphan and the suffering of a beloved child of a king are not one and the same. The orphan is really poor because he has no one to take care of him, but a beloved son of a rich man, although he appears to be on the same level as the orphan, is always under the vigilance of his capable father. A devotee of the Lord, due to wrong association, sometimes imitates the fruitive workers. The fruitive workers want to lord it over the material world. Similarly, a neopathy devotee foolishly thinks of accumulating some material power in exchange for devotional service. Such foolish devotees are sometimes put into difficulty by the Lord himself as a special favor. He may remove all material paraphernalia. By such action, he bewilders the devotees is forsaken by all friends and relatives, and so he comes to his senses again by the mercy of the Lord and is set right to execute his devotional service. Bhagavatam 1.5.19 purport. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so what is Prabhupada explaining here?
He's saying that when a devotee has his material activities, when he falls down due to wrong association and he wants to accumulate material wealth and other stuff, then what he does, he takes everything away and he confuses the devotee, and then later he comes to his senses. Oh, this is a mercy of Krishna. He wanted me to come to him quickly, fastly, so now my senses are come to the right place of Krishna's lotus feet.
Yes, exactly. So how is Krishna forcing? He is creating a situation where the devotee will get frustrated, materially frustrated. And then the devotee then takes a decision to get back on track. So that decision to come back on track is taken by the devotee in question by using his free will. Yes, but how he takes that decision is because Krishna has put him in such a situation which forces him to come back on track. So this way, this forcing and the free will both are used. Both statements become correct. Okay. I was listening to a lecture and the devotee was mentioning the same point, and he was explaining how a member of the congregation was actually a pujari in the temple. But before he came to Krishna consciousness, he was an expert surfer. So he used to go surfing in the waters, and he was very expert at it. But then he came to Krishna consciousness, he joined the temple, he gave up surfing, and he now was a pujari in the temple. After many years of serving the lordships as the pujari, then suddenly he had this desire that I want to go back to surfing. I want to go back and surf. So sometimes the old habits come back to us, because it's so much in our system. So he resigned from his services, he left the temple, and he went back to surfing. The first time he has gone surfing in the waters after he became a pujari, he sees a shark approaching him. And he's like shocked because for many, many years before he became a devotee, before he came to Krishna consciousness, he has been surfing and he has never encountered a shark, okay, in the waters. This is the first time he has gone, leaving his services to surf in the waters, and the shark is approaching him. And because he's a pujari now, he's remembering all the possible Sanskrit prayers, whatever comes to his mind now, he starts to recite them. And the shark approaches him, and somehow that day the shark decides to go on a fast. The shark does not attack him. The shark goes close to him but does not attack him and just goes away on the other side. Okay, and then now this devotee understands, he has come back he has come back on track, because now he understands that this was Krishna's arrangement to get me back to my devotional service. There's nothing wrong in surfing. He can go surfing, but that doesn't mean he has to leave the devotional service and to go and he has to serve, isn't it? So this Krishna has created that situation so that the devotee can come back on track. The devotee does not give up his services. So like that, Krishna creates a situation where he materially will frustrate his devotee so that he gets back on track. That's why one of Krishna's names is Hari. Hari means to take away. So he takes away anything that is inauspicious for our spiritual advancement. Okay. Let's read this.
Once one begins devotional service, Krishna will eventually create a circumstance where the fallen devotee will have no other recourse but to resume devotional service. Krishna, being merciful, does not allow a devotee who has fallen down to enjoy the material world. He arranges special circumstances that allows a devotee to come to his senses. He materially frustrates the devotee so that at some point the fallen devotee eventually comes to the conclusion that one cannot enjoy this material world and that one should resume devotional service in order to be happy. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so question, does devotional service end with liberation?
No, not at all. It actually,
No.
it's the beginning of it. It continues
How long does it continue?
forever. It never stops. There's no end to it.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Eternally. Why? Why?
Because that's the loving exchange of a devotee and of Krishna, God and devotee, as a friend, as a parental, as a lover, and at any sarup.
Yes, exactly. So eternally, we are the servants of the Lord. So because we are eternally the servants of the Lord, eternally we have to serve the Lord. So this concept, some people have that, okay, once I get liberation, then I have nothing to do. I just attain the spiritual world and then there is nothing more to be done. No, but even in the spiritual realm, we have to serve the Lord. So let's hear from Srila Prabhupada. Let's read this.
Does devotional service end with liberation? Devotional service is eternally existing. Actual devotional service continues even after liberation. When the devotee goes to the spiritual planet in the kingdom of God, he is also engaged there in serving the Supreme Lord. He does not try to become one with the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada, purport 9.2, Hare Krishna.
Okay, so if you read the purport, you will see how Prabhupada has written such a long purport to this second verse of the 9th chapter. When Srila Prabhupada writes long purports, that means that that shloka is even more important. So therefore, please take some time out and read the purport. Finally, Prabhupada concludes this purport by saying the following. Let's read.
Conclusion. Thus, the process of devotional service of Krishna consciousness is the king of all education and the king of all confidential knowledge. It is the purest form of religion and it can be executed joyfully without difficulty. Therefore, one should adopt it. Srila Prabhupada purports Bhagavad Gita 9.2. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so therefore one should adopt it. What we have to adopt? The service of devotional service. Okay, let's go to 9.
अश्रद्धधानाः पुरुषा धर्मस्यास्य परन्तप अप्राप्य मां निवर्तन्ते मृत्युसंसारवर्त्मनि.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me. O conqueror of enemies, therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. Hare Krishna.
So here, Krishna is talking about ashraddha danaha, those who do not have faith. What happens to the faithless? Those who do not have faith in this devotional service, Krishna says they cannot attain me. And he says that what is the fate of such people? They return to the path of birth and death. So what is faith? Let's see what is the definition of faith. Let's just read the translation, please.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shraddha is confident, firm faith that by rendering transcendental loving service to Krishna, one automatically performs all subsidiary activities. Such faith is favorable to the discharge of devotional service. Hare Krishna.
So Shraddha means the firm faith that by rendering devotional service, then automatically everything else, all other subsidiary activities are considered to have been done automatically by default. We get the result, we get the benefit of having read all the Vedas, of having done all kinds of austerities, all kinds of tapasyas, all kinds of yagyas. Everything is considered to have been done. We get the same benefit of everything else if we just render loving service to Krishna. We don't have to separately endeavor and do anything else. So this is compared. There is an analogy given to understand this. Let's just read the translation.
By giving water to the root of a tree, one satisfies its branches, twigs, and leaves, and by supplying food to the stomach, one satisfies all the senses of the body. Similarly, by engaging in transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, one automatically satisfies all the demigods and all other living entities. Hare Krishna.
So see, just as how we only water the root of the tree, and the benefit of it is received by all the other parts of the tree. We don't have to separately water the branches, the twigs, the fruits, the leaves, the flowers. We don't have to separately water other parts of the tree, right? We just water the root of the tree, and the benefit is automatically spread or gone or delivered to the rest of the tree. In the same way, when we engage in loving service to Krishna, then one automatically satisfies all the Devi Devatas. All the demigods are automatically pleased. All the other living entities are also pleased. It's not that when we worship Krishna, we are going to displease some other demigod. So sometimes people have this concern when they come to not when they come to, but still when they are contemplating on coming to Krishna consciousness, then the fear that they have is, oh, but I have been worshipping so and so Devata for so many years. But now if I start worshipping Krishna, then the Devata will be angry with me, will be dissatisfied. I will displease that person, that Devata. So we have to understand that when we worship Krishna, automatically it satisfies even the demigods. It's not that the demigods are competing with Krishna. There are stories also, not stories, but histories from our Shastras, where the demigods have directed sincere seekers towards Krishna. For example, Srila Prabhupada tells this history of Sanatan Goswami and the touchstone. There was this devotee of Lord Shiva, and he prayed to Lord Shiva, and he asked Lord Shiva, please give me the greatest thing. So Lord Shiva sends him to Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami is a Vaishnava, and he goes to Sanatan Goswami and he tells me, please give me the greatest thing. So Sanatan Goswami says, okay, what you're looking for, I have a touchstone, you can take it. Now this touchstone, anything you touch with a touchstone is going to turn into gold, right? So he's thinking, oh, I'm going to be very rich, I'm going to be very powerful. So he's very happy, and he tells him, okay, where is it? So he says, it's outside in the garbage bin, you can take it from there. So he goes there, he finds a touchstone in the garbage and he's going. But then he's like, he then contemplates and he says, hold on, wait a minute. If this is the greatest thing, then how come he has it in the garbage? How come Sanatan Goswami has it in the garbage? Definitely there must be something greater than this. So he goes back to Sanatan Goswami and he says, no, there is definitely something greater than this that you can give me. Otherwise you wouldn't have put this in the garbage. And then he gives him, what do you think he gives him?
Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai ho.
Jai. Yes, he gives him the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So you see how Lord Shiva directed his devotee to Sanatan Goswami. Then we also have the history of Vallabhacharya. Vallabhacharya was a Vaishnava saint, but there was a certain time when he was not an acharya. He was materially very distressed. So he goes to a temple of Lord Shiva and he prays to Lord Shiva. And then Lord Shiva takes mercy on him and he appears before him and he tells him, what do you want? So then he tells him, you please give me that thing which is very dear to you. He tells Lord Shiva. So then Lord Shiva smiles and he gives him a murti of Krishna to worship, right? So then he becomes a great Vaishnava saint. Then there is this history of Chandidas. Chandidas was actually a Vaishnava poet. His compositions were read by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. But you see, he's a Vaishnava poet, but his name is Chandidas. Chandi is actually a name of goddess Durga. And there was a time when he was a devotee of goddess Durga. And every day he would offer flowers to her when he would worship her. Then there was a time when he went in search of flowers and he didn't get any flowers. But then he saw that his brother, who's a Vaishnava, had some flowers. So he takes those flowers and he offers them to goddess Durga. Now, actually, those flowers which were there with his Vaishnava brothers, he had already mentally offered it to the Lord, to Lord Krishna, right? And Chandidas was not aware that these flowers have already been mentally offered. He thought that these are Bhoga flowers that have not been offered. So he uses them and he worships Goddess Durga with that. Now, when he offers those flowers to Goddess Durga, Goddess Durga manifests from the deity. And Chandidas is like, I've been worshiping you and I have offered you tons of flowers in all these years, but you have never manifested from the deity. And today suddenly, how come you have manifested from the deity? So she says that today you're giving me Mahaprasad. So she's very happy. And then she tells him the glories of Krishna. And then he becomes a Vaishnava saint and he composed poetry in glorification of Krishna. Then in the Chaitanya Leela, we have Keshav Kashmiri, who was also directed. He was a devotee of Goddess Saraswati. And then Goddess Saraswati revealed to him the real identification of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because there was a philosophical debate and he was not willing to accept the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So then Goddess Saraswati reveals to him that no, actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the combined form of Radha and Krishna. So like that, there are these incidents where the demigods have directed sincere seekers to Krishna. Okay, but of course, if one worships the demigods for material benefits, then material benefits is what they will get in exchange. But if one worships the demigods for spiritual benefit, then the demigods can direct you, they can bless you for that as well. Okay. So let's read this.
Definition of faith. Simply by serving Krishna, one can achieve all perfection. Analogy: watering the root of the tree satisfies the whole tree. Feeding the stomach satisfies the body parts. What should we place our faith on? On Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And that the Lord will definitely maintain and protect us. Also, that by following His instruction, the result will be all sumptuous. Symptoms of faith. One abides by his instruction. The faithless find the path very difficult to follow. Destiny of faithless returns to the path of birth and death. Expected conclusion. After reading Bhagavad Gita, give up all other engagements and adopt the service of the Lord with full faith. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so what is a symptom of faith? One abides by his instructions. One abides by the instructions of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Because Krishna, what Krishna spoke is Shastra, and what the Guru and Sadhu say is what is said in the Shastra. So one has to abide by the instructions of the Lord. One does not abide by the instructions of one's own mind, right? One doesn't. If one is going to say man marzi, we say in Hindi, no, very famous gross materials who do not want to follow any instruction, they say hum apne man ke malik hai, or man marzi, whatever comes to my mind, I will do that. They are not interested in following the rules and instructions of the Shastras. But if we are going to follow what the mind tells us, then we are going to have some serious problems, because the mind only tells us one aspect of the reality, will not give us a holistic picture. Okay, for example, the mind will tell us work hard, earn money, enjoy. That's one aspect of the reality. Okay, we have some material needs, so it's fine that we have to go to work and we have to make some money and secure our future maybe. Yes, but what the mind does not tell us, that parallelly something else also is happening. What is happening parallelly as we are working hard, earning money, and saving, right? What is happening is also we are losing our strength, our vigor. We are growing older. So as we grow older, we are not going to have the same physical strength that we had when we were youthful. So we may not be able to enjoy our money the way we plan to enjoy. And as we are busy working and working hard to collect money, we are also getting closer and closer to death. Death can actually hit us at any time. So this other aspect of reality, our mind will not tell us. Our mind only tells us that part by which it can enjoy. That's it. But it does not give us a holistic picture. Therefore, we should not abide by the instructions of our mind. We have to abide by the instructions of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So what is the destiny of the faithless? As Krishna said, they return to the path of birth and death. So initially, some faith we have. That little bit of faith will lead us to spiritual practices. But as we go on practicing, as we do our sadhana, that reinforces our faith even more. So when we practice more, we have greater faith. And as the faith is growing deeper and deeper, that leads to more and more spiritual practices. That leads to better and better sadhana. So this is a cycle. Faith leads to practice, practice reinforces faith. Let's read this.
Let us consider the following situation. One is disease and goes to a doctor, and the doctor imposes some restrictions on food and lifestyle. Hare Krishna. One who has faith in the doctor will follow his instructions. For one who does not follow the instructions, there are two possibilities.
So what are the two possibilities? Can anyone say?
Yeah, either he will fall sick, or either he will stop going to that doctor.
No. Two possibilities. For one, why he does not follow the instructions. The reason why a person does not want to follow the instructions of
He doesn't have faith in the doctor.
one reason can be he has no faith in the doctor. Very nice. One more reason, if he has the faith in the doctor and still does not follow the instructions, then what's the reason?
I think he feels
Manmarzi.
that he's more intelligent than the doctor.
He thinks that he's more intelligent than the doctor. No, but that
Yeah, the
comes,
one you
then that means he
wants
has
to
no faith in
enjoy.
the doctor, right?
He wants
He
to
has
enjoy
faith in the
that.
doctor. He has faith in the intelligence of the doctor. He has faith in the doctor and in the treatment of the doctor. Everything, yeah, he has faith in that.
He don't want to follow the restriction. He want to enjoy, and that's why he become die. He knows
Exactly.
everything.
Yes.
Still
So he
want
has
to
faith in the doctor. Yes, perfect. So he has faith in the doctor, but he wants to enjoy. He does not like the restrictions. So therefore, he is not following the instructions. So the desire to enjoy is so high that his faith is subdued. So we see many people around us, they have faith in Krishna's words, they believe what the Shastra says, but still they will engage in sinful activity because the desire to enjoy is so high that subdues the faith. So how to develop the faith? What to do? Here, Prabhupada answers this. Let's read the translation.
In the association of pure devotee, discussions of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin.
See, Krishna, what is he saying? In the association of pure devotees, so Satam Prasangan, in the association of pure devotees, Mama Virya Samvido. So when there is a Samvida, when there is a Samvad, when there is a discussion, when there is a talk about my wonderful pastimes, about my activities, about my leelas, then what happens? Krishna says, Bhavanti Hrit Karna Rasayana Katha. That Katha is Rasayana. That is very, very blissful. That is very, very pleasing. That is full of nectar, rasa, right? And it is pleasing to what? Hrit Karna. So it is pleasing to the heart and it is pleasing to the ears. So when we hear Krishna Katha in the association of devotees, then that is very pleasing to the heart and it is very pleasing to our ears. And because of then what happens? Then one can become advanced on the path of liberation. And his attraction becomes fixed. So the Shraddha develops, his attraction becomes fixed. So if he is lacking faith, then if he hears Krishna Katha in the association of devotees, then that faith can be created. Then devotional service can begin. Okay, so this is the solution. So it's very important to hear Krishna Katha from devotees, in the association of devotees, not hear Katha from professional chanters or professional singers, because when we hear from non-devotees, it may give us some information, but it will not lead to a transformation. It will not touch our heart. It will not change our consciousness. So hearing from devotees will give us information also, and it will lead to a transformation also, which is absent in when we hear from non-devotees. So based on faiths, because we are talking so much on faith, based on faith itself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he categorizes Krishna conscious men or devotees into Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari and Uttama Adhikari. So let's read, who's a Kanishta Adhikari?
Text 69, Kanishta Adhikari, one whose faith is soft and high level is called a neopathy, but by gradually following the process, he will rise to the platform of the first class devotee.
So a Kanishta Adhikari is one whose faith is very soft and pliable, which means if somebody comes and tells him, oh, why are you doing all this? This is not logical at all. Immediately he will have doubts in his mind. And somebody will tell him, oh, why do you have to offer food? What are you doing? Is just a murti, is just stone. How can a stone eat? Use your common sense. Okay, so immediately say, oh, actually it's true. How can the Lord eat in the form of a murti? Immediately his faith will be shaken. Or he may be told that why are you a vegetarian? Why do you even eat plants then? Even plants have life. So then immediately, oh, yes, actually that's true. Plants also have life. Then how to understand this? So a Kanishta Adhikari, his faith is very soft and pliable. Higher than him is a Madhyam Adhikari. Let's read.
Madhyam Adhikari, one who is not very expert in argument and logic based on the revealed scripture, but who has firm faith is considered a second class devotee. He also must be considered most fortunate.
So a Madhyam Adhikari has firm faith. So his faith will not be shaken. If somebody else tells him something or is trying to brainwash him, his faith does not shake. But he is not very expert in argument. He will not be able to convince or defeat the other person in argument. Somebody else comes and tells him something, his faith is not shaken, but he is not expert enough to argue back or defeat that person's logic. Higher than Madhyamadikari is Uttamadikari. Let's read.
One who is expert in logic, argument, and reveal scripture, and who has firm faith in Krishna is classified as a topmost devotee. He can deliver the whole world.
So Uttamadikari, his faith is strong. At the same time, he is very expert in logic and argument. He is very thorough in the Shastras. So if somebody tries to take him off track, then his faith is never shaken, and he can also convince the other person in his own philosophy. That is an Uttama Adhikari. So we have this Kabaddi game. Yes, very popular in India, especially Kabaddi. So in a Kabaddi match, there are two teams, and one player from team A has to go on the side of team B on the opposite side, and he has to tag a person. If he tags a person, that person is declared out, and he has to also come back safely. If he doesn't come back on time, also he is timed out. Then this person from team A is considered to be out if he doesn't come back on time. So if we just try to understand from the viewpoint of a Kabaddi game, the Kanishta Adhikari is one. He will go to the opposite side. He will not be able to tag somebody else. In fact, he will not be able to even come back to his side. He goes there and he is defeated. Okay, that's a Kanishta Adhikari. A Madhyama Adhikari, he goes to the opposite side. He cannot tag somebody else, but at least he will come back safely. He will come back to his side. And Uttama Adhikari, he does not even have to go to the opposite side. He just stands where he is. The other side come to him and tell him, please tag me. I am ready to accept defeat. That is an Uttama Adhikari. So based on faith, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us these three divisions of Krishna conscious men: Uttama, Madhyama, and Kanishta Adhikari. Okay, let's read this.
Should I read the some 80,000 sages of the racks gathered at the holy town, or should I read Srimad Bhagavatam 1.19.910?
Srimad Bhagavatam, please.
From different parts of the universe, there arrived great sages like Atri, Yavana, Shradvan, Arishtami, Bhrigu, Vashishta, Parashara, Vishwamitra, Angiri, Parashuram, Uthaya, Indra Paramad, Idam Madhavu, Medhanti, Deval, Arishtasen, Bharadvaj, Gautam, Pipalad, Maitriya, Aruva, Kavash, Kumbhoyani, Davapanya, and the great personality Narad. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.9.11. There were also many other saintly demigods, kings, and special royal orders called Arunadayas, a special rank of Rajashri from different dynasties of sages. When they all assembled together to meet the Emperor Parishad, he received them properly and bowed his head to the ground. Hare Krishna.
So what is happening? Why have all these great sages gathered together? What is going to happen now?
Now they're going to recite Bhagavatam, and Parishad Raja, they came all to see Parishad Raja and Shukdev Goswami and the 7 days of the Bhagavatam going on there, and they want to hear his questions asked to Shukdev Goswami.
Yes. So Sukadeva Goswami, how old was he when he spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit?
I forgot the age. Was it 14?
A little more than that?
16.
16, yes. So he was only 16 years old. So you see in the audience such great sages. Some of them are from the time of Lord Ramachandra, Parashar and Parashuram, and not Parashar, but Parashuram, and there was another one I saw. Who was he? One second. Vashishta. Even Vashishta Muni is from the time of Lord Ramachandra. Okay, so you can see that they were very senior sages. Also, his father is in the audience, Vyasadev. Narada Muni, the spiritual master of his father, he is also in the audience. So, although Sukadeva Goswami is only 16 years old, and the other sages are so much more senior to him, still they sat down and they agreed that we want to hear from Sukadeva Goswami. So you see, Sukadeva Goswami is sitting on an elevated position. In fact, the word Upanishads, we have 108 Upanishads. No? The word Upanishad itself means, Upa means up and Nishad means down. One who is giving knowledge is at an elevated platform, and Nishad means one who is receiving should be at a lower platform. That's the meaning of that name Upanishad. So you can see Sukadeva Goswami is at an elevated platform, although he's only 16 years old, and all other such seniors are have sat down to hear from Sukadeva Goswami. So what matters is how spiritually realized a person is. Age is not a consideration. How spiritually realized a person is, how much has a person understood what is the goal of life, how much he has worked for it, all that determines whether a person, whether one can hear from that person or no. Age is not a factor, gender is not a factor. Okay, what matters is how spiritually realized a person is. In fact, Sukadeva Goswami, he was self-realized. He in the womb of his mother itself. He was not willing to come out of the womb of his mother because he was scared that he will fall into Maya. So when Krishna personally assured him that, okay, I assure you, I promise you that you will not fall into Maya, only then he came out of the womb of his mother. Okay. So we'll stop here. We'll continue in the next class because we went so far only with group with slot 1, and we'll just maintain the level. We'll keep some time for questions and answers.
I love your class, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. It's the first time you're joining us?
Yes, Mataji. Shivani Mataji gave me your ID and code.
Okay. Nice to have you. Where are you from, Mataji?
From Fairfax, Virginia, Washington.
Okay. And you're originally from?
New Delhi, India.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully you can join us for every class. And thank you, Shivani Mataji, for bringing us Sri Hari Radha Mataji. Very nice.
You're welcome. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanapranam. Please add her to the group so she can, come every
Okay.
Saturday.
So this time suits you, Sri Hari Radha Mataji, because we have 2 time slots, one in the morning and one in the evening. This is the evening slot. If this time suits you, then I can add you here.
Yeah, this is the best time. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to say that we have here in Chile, Ekadasi is tomorrow. It marks the beginning of the last 5 days of the month of Kartik. In India, it begins on Monday. These last 5 days of the month of Kartik are even more important. Grandfather Bhishma Dev, when he was on the bed of arrows, he fasted on these 5 days in preparation to give up his body. So whatever you can do, please maximize it during these last 5 days according to your capacity. But please make the most of these last 5 days of the month of Kartik, starting from, it starts on Ekadasi and ends on Purnima. So for other locations, please check your Vaishnava calendar. But India, it begins on Monday. In Chile, it begins tomorrow, Sunday.
Same Mataji. EST same.
EST also same time, tomorrow.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. All right. So do we have a question?
It was really beautiful that we learned in this class that pure devotional service is only done under the instruction of pure devotees association. This point that you brought up was very nice for us to understand, hear, and also follow. That the pure devotees can give you something that they have very personal of Krishna. It's like a secret. How to attain Krishna's devotional service, how to attain Krishna's lotus feet, and how to attain Krishna himself. And through association of pure devotional service and through pure devotion devotees association. This point that you brought was very nice, Mataji.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So pure devotee is like a touchstone, but pure devotee is a transcendental touchstone. Anybody coming in touch with a pure devotee can get spiritually benefited. We spoke about Sanatan Goswami and his touchstone, but a pure devotee is like a transcendental touchstone. No. Yes. So important for us to associate with devotees. Okay.
Sanam Mataji ki jai, Srila Prabhupada Srila Gurudev ki jai. Mataji, with your permission, I add that when we hear Krishna Katha, Krishna Katha, Krishna Katha from pure deity, it's direct effect to our japa, Mataji. We can do our japa, yes, from so many years, but Mataji, that is mechanical. But after hearing from last 4 years Krishna Katha 4 to 5 hours, Mataji, like Gaya Rani is eating prasadam only 1 or 2 times, and evening time वो बागोड़ते हैं, मतलब whatever he eat, he just digest it like that. Whatever we hear Krishna Katha from H.G. Sanam Mataji or H.G. Bhakti Sangha Vaishnava Priti Mataji or Lalitangi Mataji or Senior Brahmachari or Guru Maharaj, at the end of the day, we have to close up everything. No, not to touch phone 8:45 or after 9 o'clock. And we have to hear Krishna Katha, Krishna Katha. My daughter Drashti is working in IT, Mataji. You believe or not, from childhood we are doing so much Bhakti Shri Laddu Gopal, worshipping Shri Laddu Gopal. But after 12th grade, the grace is coming little down. And when so much stress came in their life, now every day 9 to 10:30 we hear H.H. Jayapataka Maharaj lecture every day without fail. And she said that it's give a lots of strength to fight daily routine, whether it's office problems or whether it's outside problems.
Yes. Yes. That's our only hope is our association with pure devotees. No, I was just hearing one. I just remembered as Vrinda Gopika Mataji was saying this. I remembered a recent video I saw of what's the name? Amoga Leela Prabhu. It's doing the rounds now in social media. So he tells in this lecture that there is this devotee, he goes and Yamaraj stops him and he says that you cannot enter Goloka. You don't have this no objection certificate. So he says, but why? I'm chanting 16 rounds. So he says, oh, somebody please show him. How is he chanting in 16 rounds? You know, what is the quality of his chanting? You need 100 points if you want to go to Goloka. For the kind of chanting you do with all these distractions and everything, I can only give you 5 points. He said, oh, only 5 points. My chanting is so pathetic. It's not quality round at all. So he says, okay, 5 rounds. Okay, then, so what about the rest of the points? How are you going to get the rest of the points? So then he says, okay, but then I have been following Ekadasi. He says, oh, Ekadasi. Actually, on Ekadasi, you have been feasting more and fasting less. Although you didn't eat grains, beans, and pulses, but you ended up eating more items than you would eat on a normal day. So, okay, but at least you didn't eat grains, beans, and pulses. So I can give you 5 more points. Okay, what else did you do? He says. So then he says, oh, but then he starts to say a few other things. I don't remember really on the top of my head. But then finally he says, oh, but then Prabhupada. Then he says, oh, Prabhupada. So he says, you're a Prabhupada follower. He says, yes, he is my acharya. He says, oh, okay, all right. Tumhare ho gaya 100 points. You can go, aage jao. So on the recommendation of a pure devotee, we can get entry into Goloka because we cannot go there on our merit quota. No, colleges have merit quota and mercy quota. For the less intelligent students, they have a mercy quota where they allow less intelligent students to get admission in a prestigious university. So in order to gain admission there, we don't have the merits. In Kali Yuga, we are so fallen. So merit quota se to andar jaane ko nahi milega. Lekin mercy quota se, by the mercy of Guru, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, then we can gain entry into Golok Vrindavan. So yes, a devotee association is so crucial.
That is only 0.25, Mataji. Other two is serving Vaishnava and inviting Vaishnava and cooking food for them, and one or two Shishi Bhagavad Gita service. So more of that is only 0.25 in percent qualification, and more 99% is given mercy because he holds the Srila Prabhupada dhoti.
Ah, yes, yes, holding shelter. This is also a very nice pastime what Mataji is mentioning. Once Srila Prabhupada was giving a class and he told his audience that even if you are 90% Krishna conscious, Krishna will take you. So the audience were feeling a little bit, oh, we have to be 90% Krishna conscious. So he says, oh, what's the problem? Okay, 80% also Krishna will take you. Then Prabhupada says, still the audience is like, oh, really, it's tough, 80%. So then he says, okay, even 70%. Krishna will take you. So with that, the class ended. And then there was this devotee who was, then Prabhupada was going to his room upstairs. And there was this devotee, his disciple was following him. And this disciple was looking very confused and very disappointed. So Prabhupada tells him, what's the matter? You can't, what happened? So he says, even 70% I can't do, Prabhupada. So he says, okay, then Prabhupada tells him, okay, you just hold the corner of my dhoti. I have the keys to the back door. I will take you in. So that's the potency of a pure devotee. So even though, and Krishna also is Bhakta Vatsala, even if Krishna does not want to take us back, even if, right? Because that's the desire of a devotee, Krishna will, to fulfill the desire of his dear devotee, to fulfill the desire of Prabhupada, he will take us in, although we lack the merits. So that's the reason why it's so important to accept a spiritual master. By accepting a spiritual master, we get the mercy of Guru and Krishna. We get the mercy of the disciplic succession. We get the mercy of the Acharya. We get officially connected to the disciplic succession, and then we can go back. Because merits, unfortunately, merits, I don't know about anybody else, but I do not have. So I depend on the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Ji son of Mataji ki jai. Mataji, Srila Prabhupada told, I take only 1 second. Srila Prabhupada that jahan pe koi nahi pahunchega, wahan Mora Senapati will go there and give Krishna consciousness. So for us, Aji Adigadar Prabhu, Aji Amendra Prabhu, and Aji Ram Prabhu ji, suddenly they came in our life and they give us a Krishna consciousness. So if you hold the dhoti of Srila Prabhupada, they send the Senapati wherever you are staying in Boston or Atlanta or New Jersey or New York. We get the when I join your class, Mataji, be honest, I think first class, they all are speaking highly English, and I say in Gujarati, madam, how can I pick up it? But within half class and first class, I understand at least 60%, 50%, then next class 60%, then 70%, and interest is coming. So the moral of the story, pure devotee has that much potency that they follow all the rules and regulations, and they read so much about from Shishi Bhagavatam. It's not easy, Mataji. I prepare one class for that. I'm preparing from last 2 months. And Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, and our Guru Parampara's blessing with that devotee, that he is so pure, he is doing his sadhana in the morning, early morning, and he's following all the rules and regulations and reading Shishi Bhagavatam, that he is so pure that all that vibration came in our Mataji, aise ruwate khade ho jata hai when you are given a class. So that we are so fortunate that these 9 or 10, don't think that we are 10 or 15, Mataji, these all are spiritual bomb you are preparing. Whenever they go, they give a Krishna consciousness to other Vaishnava, Mataji. And in this frustration time, Mataji, maybe in YouTube, maybe 20,000, 10,000, 15,000, more than that Vaishnava is attending your class. Hare Krishna, Mataji, koti koti dandavat pranam to your seva. Srila Prabhupada
Hare
Seva
Krishna.
Gurudev ki jai.
Thank
Shri
you.
Ram.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji, for
Hare
your
Krishna Mataji, Dhanva Pranam.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. All right. So see you all next week. We will not have our class because I have my home program. So we will not have class, our Gita class next Saturday. I will see you in 15 days from now. So once in a month for Sri Hari, Radha Mataji and Shivani Mataji, I would like to inform that one Saturday a month, we suspend our Gita classes because I have a home program and I need to cook, etc. So it's not possible for me to do this program. Therefore, one Saturday a month, we don't have class, but all other Saturdays, we have our Gita classes. Okay. So, thank you all very much. Have a nice finish to month of Kartik. See you in 15 days.
Mataji, please
Prabhupada
give us
ki-
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Mataji, please 2 minutes. Can you please explain what to all the Matajis that what they should eat in this Bhisma Panchak? Only 2 minutes, Mataji.
Yes,
Please.
Mataji. Please,
Yeah,
Mataji.
so there are different levels of fasting, level 1, level 2. I shared a document. I don't know the different levels on the top of my head, but I have shared a document in the group which gives all details. One level is only roots and fruits. So anything that is grown underneath. 5 days, there are some devotees who fast only on roots and fruits. And 5 days, there are devotees who have only Ekadasi Prasad. So depending on your level, there is no hard and fast rule that you must do this, you should do this. Depending on your level, your ability to fast and your health also, you see what you can do. So I have already shared the document. I can share it again. And in the document, Prema Padmini Mataji has given many recipes if one wants to follow level 2 fasting of only having roots for those 5 days. Okay. Okay,
Okay, thank
Mataji.
you, Mataji.
These 5 days start from which date?
From
Tomorrow.
Ekadasi. It begins
Tomorrow.
on Ekadasi and ends with Purnima.
Okay, thank you, Hare Krishna.
All right.
Radhika
Okay.
Mataji son is here, Mataji.
Who?
Radhika Mataji's son is singing bhajan no every time.
He's not. They have not joined today, Mataji. He's not here today. Maybe because of the time change. I don't know. Probably they need to be informed of what. Okay. All right.
Thank
Okay.
you,
Mataji.
Mataji. Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
Hare
very
Krishna,
much.
Hare
Prabhupada.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna.